What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Bliggity Black with me, Cintisha. Today we're going to talk about the origin of hip-hop and the holy trinity that laid down the foundation for hip-hop to be where it is now. I mean, now we know of it as cultural, social, political, fashion, worldwide phenomena. But in the 70s, when it started, it was a revolt. Hip hop started as, basically a boiling point to give birth out of nothing. And, it was a revolt to the government, to Hollywood, to disco. Disco was dominating the airwaves, and people wanted the funk that they grew up with and a different kind of music, and things were brewing. And that leads us to our first in the holy trinity, DJ Kool Herc. DJ Kool Herc held the first hip-hop party that is known to date. It was August 11th in 1973, and it was about 50 people. And he was like, I am sick of this disco shit and hearing the same shit over and over. I want to play the funk that I grew up on. So he brought his little turntables and was playing the funk music from back in the day that he grew up on, and people were loving it. And there are parts in the funk songs that have breaks in them, and the breaks are instrumental, and it's drums or drums and bass. And he would extend these breaks in the song and basically just mix them up, start them over, shuffle them around, and people lived for it. They lived for it, and they were dancing. And this was funk music, so it was fancy footwork. Everybody was trying to be like James Brown, like ooh, 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 breaking it. And that's where the name breakdancing comes from, because they were dancing to the beats of the break. And yeah, DJ Kool Herc started with this party of 50 people, and it spread like wildfire. I'm just like imagining being there. And of course, this is in the birthplace of hip hop, New York. The Bronx and Brooklyn were everything in hip hop, like where it started, the true origin. And it started with like the 50 people, and then it went to 100, and then 300, and then 500, and then they were playing downtown to white audiences. And that was like major, that these kids that were going to NYU were feeling like outsiders, because this was right when the Clash was bumping in London, and they were really, that was another revolt, and they were really feeling that, and they were feeling like outsiders in their communities, and hip hop was feeling like outsiders in the R&B and funk, areas. So, punk and hip hop, they were homies. And that was, he was playing to these audiences, and that leads us to the second in the holy trinity, Afrika Bambaataa. Afrika Bambaataa was a former gang leader in the Bronx. He was really like, he went to a DJ Kool Herc party, and he heard it, and he was like, damn, this shit is tight. And he was going, to these parties downtown and like meeting like these alternative kids, and he really like, he was listening to the Talking Heads and Kraftwerk, and started DJing funk music with punk music and all this different music. And if you listen to Afrika Bambaataa, it is like definitely alternative in DJing, especially in the 80s. Like, it was like they had like space clothes, and they were getting it. But Afrika Bambaataa started this organization called the Zulu Nation, and he was so respected in the Bronx that he was able to unite so many gang leaders. He was like a Fred Hampton of his of his area in the Bronx. Like, he was able to unite all these gang members and leaders to say, you know, enough of us killing each other in the streets. Like, let's organize and make art. Like, let's create some shit instead of killing each other. So, you know, they started painting and photography and drawing and graffiti, making beats, you know, writing, filmmaking, doing all these amazing things and getting out of gang violence. And Afrika Bambaataa is so well respected still to this day in New York. Like, if you say, yo, Africa, like, people are gonna fuck with you because he really reshaped shit. And then, of course, that leads us to our third, Grandmaster Flash. When Debbie Harry met him for the first time, you know, she said, I'm gonna make a song about you. And in Rapture, you know, she's like, Grandmaster Flash, he's so fly. And that was really like the first time that white America was exposed to, like, they were like, is he real? Like, is he a real person? And they would literally show up to his shows and just watch him DJ. And I mean, he is referred to as the godfather of the turntables, the turntable god. And I mean, I've watched him DJ before, and if you get the chance, like, Google Grandmaster Flash DJing. I mean, I appreciate it. I love to shake my ass to some music or just vibe out. But he makes it look like an art form. Like, it's like next level. And I mean, he was really the first one to merge rhythm and technology, and really is the pioneer for what DJing is now. Like, You're Welcome, Diplo, Skrillex, Deadmau5, like, Grandmaster Flash did that shit first. And, you know, he was becoming more popular and more popular, but he was not a front of the camera guy. And I mean, none of them really were. They all, especially Afrika Bambaataa, like I said, the costumes and all that, like, they were more about the movement and the music and the people. So none of this is really documented, which is why, like, they aren't as well known as they should be, because there really isn't a lot of documentation from back then. But yeah, Grandmaster Flash started the Furious Five, and they were, you know, they're often referred to as the OGs of rapping, where, you know, for so long it was just the DJs who were the forefront, and people were just going to listen to the DJs spin, you know. And Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five was the first group where the rappers were at the forefront and the DJ was in the back. And the message, that song still, almost 40 years later, slaps so fucking hard. Like, don't push me because I'm close to the edge. I'm trying not to lose my head. And I mean, it's still just like, whoo, that song is everything. They are DJ Kool Herc, Afrika Bambaataa, and Grandmaster Flash, the holy trinity of hip hop. And, you know, without them, we would not have no Jay-Z, no Kendrick Lamar, no Meg Thee Stallion. And we definitely need to thank them. And yeah, like, shout out to them for holding it down and open the door for hip hop to evolve into what it is now and world domination and shit. That's pretty baller. And y'all are pretty baller for watching another episode of Blickety Black with me, Cintisha, and I will see you very soon.